Shepherd's Pie. Greetings from the Philippines. Welcome back to the channel for a coffee and a chat. I want to have a little talk about Thailand today and the new laws on drinking, or the new guidelines, or the new rules, whichever term you want to use to describe them, which just came into effect on Saturday, the 8th of November, because I think they caught quite a few people by surprise. They certainly caught me by surprise, and they have the potential, I believe, in my humble opinion, to have some quite far-reaching consequences. So first of all, I want to take a look at the new guidelines, shall we call them, to keep people happy. Then I'm going to speculate on what might be the driving force behind these new regulations, and what might be the potential ramifications in the long term for Thailand and potentially the Philippines. As I say, speculate. That's all you can do in situations like this. You can speculate and you can theorize, because nobody knows what the future holds. But as I say, for a number of reasons, I think these could be particularly significant. So anyway, let's have a little look at the new regulations first. So here it is in all its glory. Alcohol Control Act number 2, BE 2568. Under the new interpretation, consumers themselves may face penalties, not just vendors, for those found sitting and drinking alcohol in restaurants outside the permitted hours of 1100 to 1400 and 1700 to 2400, could be fined up to 10,000 baht. So that's the act. But what does the Bangkok Post have to say about it? So this is what the Bangkok Post has got to say about it. I will put a link to the article in the description if you're interested. New Thai alcohol rules put drinkers on the hook for fines. People in Thailand wanting to quench their thirst with an afternoon tipple risk steep fines from Saturday under amended alcohol control legislation that strengthens enforcement and significantly tightens restrictions around marketing and advertising. And the article goes on to say, alcohol sales in Thailand have been banned at most retail outlets and supermarkets between the hours of 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. since 1972, but changes to the Alcoholic Beverage Control Act that take effect on Saturday now mean individuals can be fined 10,000 baht, or $300 or more, for drinking or being served alcoholic beverages during prohibited times or in prohibited places. And it goes on to say, although there are exemptions for licensed entertainment venues, hotels, certificated establishments in tourist areas, and airports offering international flights, the onus has been shifted to consumers. And the tightened laws also prohibit advertising of alcoholic beverages unless the content is purely factual. The use of celebrities, influencers, or public figures to promote alcoholic beverages for commercial purposes is also banned. Does this matter, you might reasonably ask? Well, it matters because, as the article has said, the onus has shifted on to the customers. And if you read the article further, I won't read any more of it, but I have put the link in the description. It gives you a couple of scenarios. You could be in a restaurant at 2 minutes to 2, order some drinks. You could be served those drinks. You could be drinking them 5 minutes later, and you could potentially be fined 10,000 pesos or more for breaking the legislation. You might order those drinks 10 minutes before. They might be late serving you. But the point is, if you are consuming those drinks between the prohibited hours, regardless of whether you order them, regardless of what the venue did, you are potentially liable. the onus has shifted onto you as the customer, as the consumer, which is pretty worrying stuff. Now, it poses a couple of questions. I'm not defending afternoon drinking. I have no opinion on it. It's not really something I do. But I'd like to think people would have that right if they wanted to. As I say, it has been the law. The 7-Elevens over there and the supermarkets, they haven't served alcohol between those hours. I think 7-Eleven stopped serving at midnight. You know, Tesco's, Lotus, etc. They always shut the drinking aisles off between those hours. But it never really applied to the bars and the restaurants. It wasn't enforced. So it poses a couple of questions. Will they enforce it? I don't know. It's quite worrying that they have the ability to. I mean, I know we're not talking about after midnight at the moment, but when I recently went back to Thailand with Ellen on our holiday, we were on the Koh San Road. They went through about 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. The police went up the road with their cars, flashing their lights, telling the bars to close. Of course, they didn't. They were just going through the motions. They came back again about 20 minutes later. Again, just going through the motions. The police invariably don't expect the bars and that to close, but they can say they did it. They can say they went through the process of closing them, and then life just goes on regardless. You know, when I've been in that situation in the past, you sit, you watch, you think, are they really going to enforce that tonight? Invariably, they don't. But never has it entered my mind, are they going to come over to me and fine me 10,000 bahts for drinking out of hours? So from that point of view, it's potentially a game changer, because that would be my train of thought now. I don't want to get fined 10,000 baht for finishing off a beer outside. I'm sure not many people would. So, yeah, are they going to enforce it? What kind of an impact is it going to have on tourism? Because obviously, as you would expect, I've read a number of articles, and the tourist industry, they are not happy about it. They think it's going to affect tourism negatively. They think the guidelines are vague and they don't answer enough questions in terms of what are certified venues and, you know, where it's going to be applicable and where it's not, which is a fair comment. I've never in my time in Thailand have I thought, is this place certified to sell alcohol out of hours? My experience in Thailand is you could ask them and they'll probably say yes, whether it is or not. So it raises a lot of questions as to whether they're going to enforce it, whether it's going to affect tourism. Now, people who live in Thailand or go there regularly will know that these things aren't law until they go in the Bangkok Post. And it's already gone in the Bangkok Post. So it is these guidelines are going to be enforced now, or potentially enforced, but it has become a matter of law. Now, people will also know that these rules aren't supposed to apply to certain entertainment areas, you know, like the Koh San Road or Patti or, you know, various other places. But it can be vague as to what those entertainment areas are. And there has been a push for the last 4 years to expand the entertainment areas to be able to open till 4 a.m. And there have been a number of complaints or continual ongoing complaints that businesses aren't able to get registered. They're not able to get their certification, that they're in limbo. And the regulations have never really come into place. I mean, this is the thing about Thailand. They talk the talk, but very rarely do they walk the walk. It takes a long time generally for these things to become law, if they ever do, which is why I find this one quite surprising, because it's just come out like that and it's gone straight in the Bangkok Post. And the fact that they're moving so quickly suggests they could do that in other areas. Because to me, it's very untied to do this quickly and like this, and particularly to put the onus onto the customers, because it gives the opportunity for corruption. I mean, quite obviously, if they can levy fines at will and they're not dealing with Thai nationals and bar owners and people who know the score, they're just dealing with tourists, then they're in a position of power. Will it affect the tourism long term? I don't know. Will it affect it immediately? I very much doubt it. I don't think the majority of tourists going there will know that these are the new rules. The vast majority might not care. But in the long run, if they do start finding people, then yeah, it has the potential to. Now, what I find interesting about this, when I'm going to do a little bit of a conspiracy theory, if you will indulge me, again, it is pure speculation. If you don't agree, you don't agree. But I'm sure I'll get people in the comments saying I'm talking nonsense and I'm wrong because of this, I'm wrong because of that. Well, that's your opinion. That's your speculation. Doesn't mean you're right and I'm wrong. My speculation doesn't mean I'm right and you're wrong. So anyway, why do I find this particularly intriguing? Well, it's because of this character. Anatin Charnvirakul, who is the new Prime Minister of Thailand and the leader of the minority Bumju Thai Party. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on Thai politics by any stretch of the imagination, but I have always found Anaton a particularly fascinating character because for the leader of a minority party, he has been incredibly influential in Thailand over the last, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years. He is the reason why that became legal. I'm not going to say the term. I don't want to upset the algorithm, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Yeah, that was down to him. But yeah, it was a mistake in the legislation. They never intended to legalise it. This is a fact. They intended to legalise it for medicinal purposes, not recreational. But due to an error in the wording, it became the law. And it is a genie which they have still not been able to put back into the bottle. But he was the man behind that. But the thing that really got me interested in him was when he was the health minister back during COVID, because he was very keen at the time when he was health minister to blame it on us dirty Westerners. It was nothing to do with China. It was down to expats. We were the cause. We were the problem. And he said a number of derogatory things during his period as health minister, that Farangs didn't wash, they weren't clean, we were dirty and we didn't know how to behave. And, you know, there were lots of things that were attributed to him, allegedly, shall we say, were attributed to him. So I think based on those comments, if they were true, then, yeah, he doesn't favour immigrants, or certainly immigrants of a certain skin colour. So I was amazed when he was made Prime Minister quite recently, because I thought his days were gone. I thought after the last government collapsed, he would sail away into the sunset. And when he became Prime Minister, I was watching Tim Newton's channel. You should watch that. Great channel. I might put a link in the description. I always watch his channel as a source of information when it comes to Thailand. He surmised it was highly unlikely that he would stay in the role for long, in position for long, because he's only there temporarily. He was put there by the army when they just kicked the daughter out a couple of months ago before the border incident, or during the border incident with Cambodia. And at the time I thought, really? Is it only going to be short term? Because it would be fair to say, having watched Anaton in action, he is quite ambitious, shall we say. From what I've seen of him, he won't give that position up lightly. I think he'll make a fist of it. I think he'll try and stay there. Just my speculation. Don't know if it's true or not. Only time will tell. But I wondered at the time, what would that mean for expats? What would that mean if he did get into power? Would he try and get on the old immigration ticket again by discriminating against expats to carry favour with a certain percentage of the local Thais? I think past actions would suggest that he probably would, that he'd be very happy to jump on that bandwagon. So when I saw this coming so quickly, with him being Prime Minister, I thought, that's interesting. Is he behind that? Why has he done that? Is that a way to stick the knife into expats, to build up some further? And it was particularly interesting when I was doing a little bit of research for this video, that he has been championing an extension of drinking hours since 2023. He wants the drinking hours extended to 4 o'clock everywhere in all the entertainment zones. So it's a bit of a change to go from that when he was not in power to suddenly, only a few weeks or months maybe after he came into power, to suddenly be bringing these regulations in. Not a surprise that he's putting the onus on the consumers, the patrons, the customers, because I'm sure in his little mind, I don't think he envisaged, again, allegedly, I don't think he envisages the Thai police, if they are enforcing this, on walking up to your average Thai and hitting them with a fine. First of all, your average Thai couldn't possibly afford it. But even if they could, I don't think that's his intention. But I think he might be quite happy for them to walk up to expats and tourists and levy those fines. But I might be reading too much into it. Now, a lot of people are going to say, it doesn't matter. So what? People shouldn't be drinking in the afternoon. Okay, well, be judgmental. I'm not an afternoon drinker myself. But I think you're missing the point here. The question is, it is significant to the bar owners and the restaurant owners. It is significant to a lot of people who are in the industry. Might not affect you. You might not approve on it, but it's not your livelihood. To those people, it's going to be very significant. And it's going to be significant to a number of holiday makers. If you only get like a week or 2 weeks off a year and you want to drink in the afternoon, then I don't think there should be rules against that. But it's not my country. I'm just interested to see how things unfold, because you would generally think or hope that politicians are going to do things for the best. Oh, my shirt keeps lifting up like that. Would be doing things for the best of the country, that they're going to, put tourism and things like that first. But it wouldn't be the first time, if it does happen, that a politician might put his own personal interests ahead of the good of the country. I think there are a number of politicians. I'm going to be careful how I'm wording this now, because I keep using allegedly and things. Got to be careful how you say things on YouTube, I've been led to believe. But it wouldn't be the first time, potentially, that a politician puts the financial benefit or well-being of the country behind his own personal ambitions. And if he could create a further where voters are antagonised by expats again and immigrants in the country, and that might win him a permanent position as Prime Minister, but it might be to the detriment of the tourist industry, for example, then I don't think it would be unreasonable to surmise that he might go down that route. But that's just speculation. Only time will tell. Maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I've always been fascinated by my old mate, Anaton. Can't believe he's Prime Minister. So anyway, even if he doesn't do that, why do I say this could have far-reaching effects on the Philippines? Well, because if it does upset tourist people, if it does upset the tourist industry, if it does persuade people to go to other countries, I'm not for 1 second saying they're all going to flood into the Philippines. I think the reality is they will probably flood to Vietnam, which is doing incredibly well. I think I looked quite recently for a video, and tourist figures in Vietnam were up by 65% over the last 3 years. I just did a little bit of research now, and they're up by 25% this year than they were last year. So whereas Thailand and the Philippines are struggling to get anywhere close to pre-pandemic tourist figures, Vietnam is surging ahead. You can only assume they are going to benefit from any negative impact on tourism in Thailand. But the trouble with the Philippines is you can't get a retirement visa there. You cannot stay long term unless you marry a national. So if he does start putting the knife in, if he does start cracking down on expats in Thailand, if the new tax rules, because we've got to remember they brought new tax rules in, or they're in the process of bringing new tax rules in. Have they come into effect? I don't know. But they're clearly trying to get a pound of flesh in terms of taxes and things out of expat retirees over there. I would hazard a guess, with Anaton being in power, I don't think he's going to tell them to go softly, softly. If anything, I would predict that he's going to go harder, harder. Now, then potentially you may well see an exodus of expats, all those forces coming together, leaving Thailand. Will they come to the Philippines? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. But that is why I suggested it may have a potential impact on the Philippines further down the line. Whether you think that would be a good thing if it happened or not, well, that's up to you. We've all got our views on that kind of thing. Anyway, only time will tell, but interesting to watch how he proceeds in his role as Prime Minister, temporary Prime Minister, maybe soon to be permanent. And it'll be interesting to notice whether they actually enforce these new regulations or not. I will be watching with interest with my popcorn ready. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, it would be fantastic if you did. Whether you do, whether you don't, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stay safe and be lucky.